Hello, Texas government students. How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to the class. And students, I hope you're coming off of a good weekend. And also, happy Cinco de Mayo Day. Again, welcome back to the class, Texas government. Now, students, I have one goal, and that's to get you prepared to take the final exam. But I need for you to do something. You take a look at your syllabus, have a clear understanding the scheduled day of the final exam. Okay? So I don't want you to miss that opportunity. So once the final exam closes, you're locked out. I will enter a grade of 0. That's why I need for you to pay attention to critical due dates shown on the syllabus. Okay? So there are no surprises. You dust off your syllabus, read the syllabus. Okay? So, game plan for this week, students. You will see a video from me today on Monday, video on Wednesday, and Friday. What I am walking through is the Governance in America textbook. Now it's time for me to walk through chapters 9 and 10. So by the end of the day, Friday, during Friday's video lecture, you will have a clear understanding of chapter 9 and 10. Now, pre-test for your final exam, I will incorporate the pre-test into the last segment of my Friday video. So it'll be the last part of the Friday video dealing with the pre-test to help you get prepared for the final exam. So that's a week's glance. Video Monday, today, video Wednesday, and video on Friday. Friday's video will again include the pre-test. So now you are aware. So students, also, I am still inputting grades in the grade center. For example, draft paper, analytical paper. I had many students that I accepted the draft as your final paper. Okay? Many students. So this segment is both for the 16-week who this particular portion on analytical paper, you're done. This does not concern you. But I have my 8-week session. This comment is mainly for you. I had a very high percentage of you who I accepted your draft as your final. Students, this 8-week sessions, you got it. You have a clear command and understanding of the analytical paper assignment. So I accepted your draft as your final. So great job. I applaud you. And so I'm entering those dates, those grades currently. Now, please, the due date for again, this does not include my 16-week. This is mainly for the 18-week. So just bear with me, 16-week. If I have yet to provide comments and feedback on my 8-week draft papers, I will extend your due date. So that extension will be shown in the email directly to you, student. Okay, so individual students, you know who you are. You will have an extension. Other students will not. Okay, so thank you for your attention on the draft analytical paper. Now let's move to content in the textbook. Now this applies to all my classes, 16-week and 8-week. Okay, so I want to unpack chapter 9. Now students, I need for you to take good notes and I also need for you to, I need your attention for at least 40 minutes. Okay. I will try not to go over 40 minutes. So, excuse me, students. It's raining outside and the temperature seems to be dropping, and I do not have my sweater. It's part of the old aging process, students. You get cold sometimes. Um, but let's walk through this particular chapter. Chapter 9. I'm starting with chapter 9. So again, by Friday, I will have unpacked in great detail chapter 9 and chapter 10. Okay. So let's start with chapter 9. Students, I'm operating straight from textbook. Okay. I just want to share with you up front. I will unpack and provide in greater detail the content within the chapter, within the readings. So I'm operating on chapter 9 now, so please follow me. Politics. You've heard the term politics your entire life. Now let's look at it, the definition, of course, in the textbook. Politics is the art or science of government or governing, especially the governing of a political entity. Political entity just basically means any institution of government or any organization of government. So political entities such as a nation, it's an entire nation, like America, or like an entire nation, okay? And the administration and control of its internal and external affairs. So when you hear the term internal, I want you to think of inward, inside of the institution or the organization. External is anything outside the control of the governmental institution or entity. So anything outside, that could be global, that could be, in the Texas case, it could be anything outside the state of Texas. For example, how does Georgia, the state of Georgia, impact Texas, if any? How does the state of Louisiana impact Texas, if any? How does California impact Texas, if any? Well, let me give you an example. Texas now has Tesla auto manufacturer. So, students, where did Tesla's only been manufacturing cars in Texas for, it's been less than 8 years now, okay, in Texas. So the question is, where did Tesla come from? Tesla has not always had a manufacturing presence in the state of Texas. So Tesla they relocated as a company from the state of California. So without California, there will be no Texas Tesla. And so Tesla located to Texas for one reason. It's because our state legislature in Texas has low to no corporate taxation. Corporate taxes is very competitive in our state, which makes corporate relocations, that's where out-of-state corporations bring jobs and relocate from out of state into the state of Texas. Texas was very attractive to Tesla because of low corporate taxes in the state of Texas. So, point being, this notion of administration, politics, and control of its internal and external affairs. Well, in this case, the external, outside the state of Texas, Tesla became frustrated with the state of California because the state of California taxed corporations at a higher rate than in the state of Texas. So this externalness of affairs that occurred in California became the benefit of the state of Texas because we gained a huge auto manufacturing industry in the state of Texas because of the competitiveness of corporate taxes. Other states, external states, may pay a higher corporate tax, but if you locate to Texas, it is a lower corporate tax. So these external affairs could range from global to outside of our state of Texas, anything external that can impact the state of Texas. So moving on, public policy. You've heard of that term, public policy, but what is it? What's the definition? Public policy is it's a simple definition, but I want you to really hear it. Public policy is any government decision is public policy. Governments consist of institutions such as legislature, courts, and executive agencies that make those decisions. When the legislature makes a law requiring a cell phone user in an automobile to have the hands-free set, why is this? It impacts safety of all drivers in Texas. Moving on to the next concept directly in your textbook. 3 relevant ideas that's related to politics, and that's individualism, liberty, and equality. I want you to have a clear understanding of individualism, liberty, and equality. But I want to park for a second, students, because I want to make sure you understand the concept of equality. And I want to frame this in the context of depending on political party affiliation. Because depending on the political party affiliation, if you're Democrat or Republican, and independents in Texas, so you've heard of the third party, it's called the Independent Party. They're mathematically insignificant in the state of Texas. In other words, this third party, the Independent Party, is not mathematically significant. In other words, there's not enough voters who call themselves independents to actually win elections. The math just does not favor the independent party. So Texas is a two-party state, Democrat or Republican. But with respect to this concept of equality, depending on which party you speak to, the term equality is not a well-embraced concept. If you are a member of the Republican Party system and you hear the term equality, it's not very well received. But if you are on the Democratic side of the fence, if you hear the term equality, it's much more embraced. But let me break down equality into three categories that you need to be aware of, students. And please, please make yourself some notes. Now, three different types of equality I want you to walk away with. The first is political equality. The second is economic equality. And the third is equality of opportunity. So let's break down each one because each means something distinctly different. So I'll provide a definitional understanding, and I'll give examples to add proper context. Okay? So with respect to political equality, this is pretty straightforward. It's to one person's equality may mean one person may mean political equality, which means each person's vote should be counted equally, or the concept of one person, one vote. That's political equality based on the power of one person, one vote. Okay? So one person does have power. That's through the ballot box. And elected officials know this. And so then the question becomes, how many voters have the power? And that's where you have this play, if you will, of if whether you want voters to really turn out or you want to actually suppress the vote. Because it gets into this political battle of low voter turnout can favor one candidate over the other. High voter turnout can be the opposite. It can favor another candidate over another. So this swelling of voting, depending on the candidate running, again, one person, one vote. So let's move to economic equality, which means each person should have an opportunity to the same wealth. If I can be candid, students, this one piece, economic equality, notice I have not broken down individualism. I have not broken down liberty. I'm breaking down equality. And it's equality, notice, I've not said anything about race or gender. Because most individuals, when they hear the term equality, they always think of race, specifically black or white. Stop. That's limited. That's miseducation. Current real time, when you think of equality, I want you students to think of this economic equality, which means each person should have approximately the same wealth. This is why politics is so vicious in our country now. It's over the viciousness and vitriol. In other words, groups not getting along with each other. The groups meaning political parties, Democrat or Republican. The key reason why you have so much dissension and polarization. Polarization just means parties are polarized. They're against each other. They're on opposite sides of thinking here. And there's no possibility to come together. The polarization is caused by primarily two reasons why groups are divided based on political lines, Democrat or Republican. It's this one piece, economic equality. And I've already read the definition, which means each person should have approximately the same wealth. Well, there are many individuals. You remember, Texas is Democrat or Republican. There are many individuals in one party who do not believe this. Another political party believes in equal access to wealth. Another party says no, there's no equal access to wealth because that equality may take some wealth away from me. The me meaning the those who are on one political party side who say that no, they already have their opportunity. Don't take away from this group. And it's based on groupings. And it could be based on classism. Classism is a part. Race is at the bottom of the discussion. But the core is essentially sharing of wealth. And many individuals don't believe that that group over there should have the same as this group, as an opposite group. So the sharing of equality of wealth, that's one thing that's causing political polarization. The other is, frankly, control between the federal government and state government, down to local governments. It's this notion of control. Those two things have soured governance in America. In governance, you remember your three G's? Just look at governance. It's eroding and weakening governance in America. Third, equality of opportunity. Let me share with you. I'm going back to economic equality, which means I've already repeated this definition. Each person should have approximately the same wealth. And then that next sentence, I'm operating straight from textbook, students, says neither Americans nor Texans believe in this form of equality. But they do believe in equality of opportunity, which means the elimination of artificial barriers to success in life and the opportunity for everyone to strive for success. What does that mean, Professor Edwards? Well, let me put it in terms of policy. For everyone to strive for success and for this elimination of barriers that can block persons from success. Notice nowhere in this discussion did race come up or gender. That's intentional, okay? Because this question of equality of opportunity It cuts through class and every race. In other words, every race is a part of this discussion. And also, the core of it is class, classism. So let me say it a different way. Again, the whole goal is to break down barriers to prevent equality of opportunity. So let me say it this way. Just within this calendar year of 2025, the state of Texas uh, public higher ed system, higher education, university system, the top public university system in our state of Texas is what, students? It's the University of Texas. The University of Texas Governing Board of Regents, this is who runs the University of Texas, establishes all the policies, and they run this multi-billion-dollar operation. Many B's. They had just established a policy within the last 6 months. And the policy basically says every household below 100,000, your tuition is free. Free. A household has to have a total income below 100,000, and UT, University of Texas, Gold Longhorns, and every University of Texas flagship, that's San Antonio, that's Dallas, that's El Paso, that's Tyler, every UT part of the system is free? The answer is yes. Well, what was the logic behind that policy shift for the University of Texas system? The logic was this very point: equality of opportunity. Because based on class, not based on race, some individuals just cannot, because of the barrier of income, cannot go to college. It's unaffordable, unattainable, have many in certain underprivileged classes based on income, not based on race, would never even think about going to college. It's unattainable. So equality of opportunity means how can these barriers based on income and the ability to pay or not, how can these barriers be knocked down to create an opportunity for college? That's why the University of Texas established this $100,000 or below policy to allow free tuition, essentially. If your parents or your household makes more than, then the probability of you going to college is greater. If, in Texas, if your household makes less than, the probability of higher educational attainment is lessened, lessor. And so reducing these barriers for opportunity, that's the best example I can come up with regarding higher education. So students, now you see the difference between political equality, economic equality, and equality of opportunity. Okay? So under equality of opportunity, I'm going to mention one last point. Under equality of opportunity, This does not guarantee the this meaning, let me read it in its full context. Equality of opportunity, which means the elimination of artificial barriers to success in the life and the opportunity for each one to strive for success. Striving for success, well, now I'm admitted into UT, so I'm going to work my behind off in order to succeed. My tuition was free, opportunities created. I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to strive really, really hard, and I'll graduate. And so, last sentence reads, well, last two sentences. This does not guarantee the end result, which is graduation, or which is entry into a career pathway. Last sentence. Different people view government action in promoting ideas based on the relative importance of the idea. This was referring to basically this notion of how do you reduce these barriers for people? Should government even be responsible for reducing these barriers? And the answer is yes. It's through policy. Reducing barriers to create opportunities for all. That's a government function. But some individuals, based on political party, they do not believe in reducing some of these barriers. Why not? It's because one class benefits greater than those classes without resources. Is that a form of social control? Going back to the earlier point here, under economic equality, many individuals will argue up and down that everyone in society should not have the same wealth. That's the classic definition that separates class. That's classism based on income. So students, this core piece of what we just discussed, this is the core of why politics and government is so vile and vicious. And what we just spent time talking about under equality is basically money, who has it and who does not. And just in a simple fashion, any public policy that can create more opportunity for those who do not have resources, you have another side of politics that will fight against it. And any policy that comes forward to move the economy to create those who do not have resources, give them an opportunity for resources, you'll have opposition either way. Students, I've gone for 35 minutes now, and so I'd like to wrap up with saying this. You'll see me again on Wednesday. I will unpack, I will continue this discussion of this chapter. And so by the end of this week on Friday, we will have concluded Chapter 9, Why Texas Politics, and Chapter 10 in the textbook, which is public and private non-government business partnerships and state preemptions. So we'll go through both of those chapters and you'll have a clear understanding. So I'm signing off, students. Take care, And I needed to spend this much time on equality because equality is a misunderstood term and concept. In the context of this textbook, equality deals with money. In other conversations, equality may deal with race, gender, and possibly sexual orientation. But for the sake of this chapter, it deals with money. Okay. So, students, I'm signing off. Have a great rest of your day. I need for you to take good notes because the perfect test question will be: is economic equality the same as political equality? True or false? Is equality of opportunity the same as political equality? True or false? Another question, potential question. With economic equality, does Texans embrace economic equality? True or false? I'm signing off, students. Take care. You have a great rest of your day, and you'll see this video soon. Thank you. Take care.